So, welcome back to another episode of Team Talks. I'm delighted to have three very special guests with me today. The format of this show is very simple. Everyone brings a question. It's like our own little team huddle behind the scenes in the changing rooms. We're going to learn some stuff. But before we start, we're going to do introductions. So I'm going to start with Chris to my left.
I'm Chris Seilo. I do the marketing for Bizpedia. So it's kind of cold outreach, things just generating leads and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
My name's Marc Smith. Got a heating and plumbing company in the south of England. That's what we do.
Nice.
My name's Matt. I head up a company called My Trusted Electrical. We're an electrical contractor based in Hedge End. We're part of the Peter Cooper Motor Group. And yeah, we're electrical contractors and we specialise in EV charging, LED upgrades, general installation and maintenance.
Nice. Thanks, gents, for being here. Much appreciated. First question, just before I start, is this everyone's first podcast appearance?
Mine.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I like
First time ever doing anything like this.
I'll take it. Podcast virginity is definitely like taking them. So thanks for being here. Let's start with our first question then. Let's go with Mr. Smith. Why don't we start with your question?
So for me, being in business, I've always found it a little bit lonely compared to like when you've got your mates who go off and get jobs in management and all the rest of it. And it's about how to build a good support network around you.
Okay. How do you feel you've done that?
Well, obviously through the power of networking, like Bizpedia has played a big part in it. But I always find myself asking, is there any more? Because it's other things you could be doing.
Okay. Matt, what's your thoughts?
I'll struggle with this one a bit because I'm quite solitary, sort of by nature. So I don't need a massive support network. For me, I think as long as everybody at home is happy, that's where mine starts.
How many people you got at home?
Too many kids to mention.
That you know about.
So we're quite a big family. We're a split family. My partner's got children. I've got children. They all live quite happily together. But I think for me, it's really important that she's 100% behind what I do. The phone rings, I have to answer it. You know, the email goes off. I can't help myself but look, even if it's a Sunday. You know, people need holiday. I've got people that work under me that I need to take care of. Not just 9 to 5. That obviously extends into personal time, etc. I think I'd find it a lot harder if she wasn't on my side with it.
Have you been able to get on the same page over the course of your relationship together, or has it always been you've been pretty well aligned in terms of your career and her being supportive?
I think it's sort of become quite well aligned organically. We've never sat down and had a chat and said, look, the position I'm in means that I'm going to have to do this, this and this. It's never really been that. You know, we're both grown-ups and it's kind of come about quite nicely that she appreciates that sometimes I need to spend a bit of time doing something that is nothing to do with the family. But I think, again, it's important then that I pay back into that, in that, you know, I still have to help out around the house and I get away with that.
Yeah.
Look after the kids and those sorts of things. But wider than that, I mean, as long as the people that work for me are happy and everything at home's happy, I'm kind of quite happy. I personally don't need an awful lot more than that.
Yeah, nice. So your main support network is your partner at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Chris?
Yeah, so I think, especially when you become an adult, I think it's when you come out of school and college, that kind of thing, I think you have to really put in a lot of effort to maintain relationships, and you have to really consistently put yourself out there, I'd say. That's something I've found. You can't just expect people to come to you and have relationships. So for me, it's been like pursuing hobbies that I really enjoy. So for me, that's kind of like MMA. I'm getting into golf a little bit more now, things like that. And then you just kind of naturally meet people. And then for me, it's just like consistently showing up. And actually from MMA, there's a guy I met and we see each other like really regularly now. We go like for runs, just talk about stuff that's like on our minds, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's just keep putting yourself out there and also giving to other people, and they'll tend to give back. So yeah, that's kind of what I'd say. I don't know if there's any hobbies that you pursue or anything like that at all.
Yeah, I used to love my sailing. So yeah, I'm used to team games.
Yeah.
You know, I like going to watch the boy play football and stuff like that. But it's almost like it's that grumpy old men's club that I think I'm missing, where you'd have a Friday after work beer
Yeah.
and just sit there and vent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in that, isn't there?
But it is hard because you if you're running a business and you've got people working for you, it is hard to socialise with them, and
Yeah,
I think that's where the lonely element comes, is that at some point you're going to have to play boss. It's hard to do that if you're friends with somebody. If you're supposed to be going out for a Friday night drink with them, but you need to have an awkward conversation with them in the morning, I think you do end up segregated from the people that work for you or with you a lot of the time. So I do get it can be a lonely place.
Do you go to the pub on a Friday, or is it something you used to do?
I used to just to break the working week up and then switch into. I'm kind of like Matt, very family orientated, but I need to offload work, so I'd go for a couple of beers on a Friday night, moan like you can't imagine moaning
Yeah.
about everything, and then I can literally walk through
It's
the
quite
door
cathartic, isn't it, having a
and
night?
switch into family, and then it's doing all the stuff together, and I've cleared it.
Nice.
But I don't think going to the pub on a Friday night is necessarily the best habit to make.
The healthiest, or maybe I don't know. Maybe there is more positive than negative, right?
Yeah. I think it's the venting, isn't it? It's the thing for me. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think being a business owner and running a company can be very stressful, and is a lot of hard work. And having that little bit of escapism, and however you find it, is really important. I've certainly found, to your point, like my partner being a really good communicating a lot with her, so they're on the same page, is really healthy. So having to really over communicate with her to make sure that she understands my ambitions and what I'm going through, and that's kind of reassuring. But I've definitely found I've got friends from school that are great to go and have a laugh with, but also building friends around business that understand what I'm going through has helped quite a lot as well. Because they understand the challenges you're going through. So if I'm having a whinge about like very difficult employees, for example, that's clearly a joke. Chris is excellent. Then they kind of understand what I'm going through. So, but we all need like support and assurance, don't we? So I think that's a really great question.
Just quickly, do you find like, in terms of venting, do you feel a little bit of guilt about like venting to people? Do you feel like, because there is a thing about, you don't want to be like the guy who's always complaining, but it is important to be able to get
I'm a
stuff
natural moaner. No.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. It's usually my brother-in-law and my cousin that we meet up, and they've got their own one-man band businesses. So there is an element of synergy from a business owner point of view. We all moan about the same sort of things.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't always feel healthy, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Oh, nice. That's the question. Right, I'm going to jump in with my question now, just a bit off field.
Yeah.
So my question is, if you could time travel back to any time in history, what would it be and why? Anyone want to kick me off?
I don't mind.
Go on then.
I think I'd go back to the Industrial Revolution, so the end of sort of Georgian, Victorian
Okay.
times. It's always fascinated me, I think. We were talking earlier, I spent a lot of time in Portsmouth Dockyard, and I can remember, and I'm talking when I was sort of 16, 17, I first went in there, and I can remember reading some things about the blockhouses in there, and the guy that sort of industrialised those was a guy called Marc Brunel, and most people will know his son as Isambard Kingdom Brunel, who's obviously went on to be a great engineer as well, but so was his dad. So that was quite interesting, and my boss at the time was sort of quite into all those sorts of things as well. So I guess we discussed it at work, and I'd go away and research it. And then things like the London sewers were built around the same sort of era by a guy called Joseph Bazalgette. And you see these sewers, they're like cathedrals. The brickwork in it's just so ornate, and I just we don't really do that anymore in engineering. Everything's really quick these days. It's quite rushed. It's quite you know, the houses are built really quick because it's a huge growing market, and
It's amazing the craftsmanship that like centuries ago, or even centuries ago, they used to just in terms of building these things. You go to like the Sistine Chapel in Rome, like how do they build this? Like I think it was thousands years ago.
It's crazy, and it's all the behind the scenes things that we don't see. They put all the same effort and care into, and I'm obviously not saying that it doesn't happen these days, but there's a lot of facades put on things now, so it's, you know, get it up quick and make it look pretty. Whereas there, I think they built it sort of nice from the ground up. It would just been nice, I think, to be in and around that sort of revolution as it was happening.
Do you like history?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell. Well, even just by the way that I've learned a little bit there on like the names of and where these things come from.
Yeah, I'm a stickler for a documentary. That's probably
favorite documentary. What you
I
watched recently?
I watched one on Netflix recently. I forget what it was called. Possibly The Man and the Bomb, something like that. But it was about primarily the wars from sort of the end of the First World War right through the Second, the Cold War, etc., and how they're interwoven and overlapped with sort of worldwide politics. And there was a few bits in there that sort of they touch on at school that I can remember, but they sort of never elaborated on. So it was quite nice to sort of polish those bits off. But yeah, a bit of a stickler for a documentary.
Oh, that's okay. So we've got Industrial Revolution. Mark?
Cool. Well, yeah.
Take your pick.
I find it. I've not really been one for like dwelling on the past. I've always thought, you know, tomorrow's another day. Look to the future. Look for building. So it's not really something I've thought about a lot. But what I have discovered, and ironically we're doing one here today, is a podcast. So the moment I get a bit of interest in something historical, I just go straight to my podcast app and I'll pull up the history on it, and I'm finding the quality of the information that you're getting from a podcast is far more passionate than lots of other things. You know, so some of the documentaries, sometimes they're a bit one-sided, aren't they? So I really enjoy that. But if I could go back in time, I'd probably go back to about 10 o'clock yesterday, one of my emergency call-out where I got the job wrong. Didn't notice an obvious mistake, and I'd start again now. I know the answer today.
Yeah.
And then I probably wouldn't have been late for this as well.
That is true. But you made it, and you made the effort to do it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so yours is 10 o'clock yesterday. Any time in human history, you're just going to go back to 10 o'clock yesterday. I've got to make sure that's correct.
Yeah, 100%. 10 o'clock yesterday in Bournemouth, and I will look at the first fuse board better.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah, I had my idea in my head. I was going to say like the Greek, like ancient Greece, because I think like the whole mythology is like fascinating. But I think just because the world we live in today is like very like technology, there's like lots of technologies, like very overly stimulated. So I think going back to like when the Vikings were around and the people used to like live in the woods and like log cabins, that kind of thing, I think it'd be really cool to just like experience that for a while, just like spend a week, just see like living off the land, that kind of thing. I think it'd just be a really nice thing to experience for like a week, you know. I think ideally that's kind of how I want to live like later on in my life when I'm old and retired, that kind of thing.
In a cave.
Off
grid.
Off grid. That's exactly what it is. Just like
Can't get hold of you if I love the money.
yeah. I think like
What's the attraction in that?
I think it's just like the peace of mind. Like sometimes when like you spend too much time on social media, you just feel like there's too much in your head, and just spending some time away from everything just allows like your creativity to come out, just allow yourself to be a bit bored. And I think often we need space to be able to just let our mind wander, because it's so easy just to like grab something to be stimulated. It's always right there. So yeah, I just think it'd be interesting, like if all that was taken away, what would life look like?
Is there anything that you're doing to help yourself with that at the moment, considering we do live in 2024?
Yeah, for sure. It's difficult. It is. Yeah, I go through phases where I'm like focused on like trying to meditate, that kind of thing, like gratitude journaling in the morning. But it's just the consistency I find difficult. It's like the pull of social media and getting sucked into, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. So Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have like a little sabbatical away from that, see what happens.
On that,
Yeah.
just as we stay with that for a minute, has any of you two got any like habits around technology at all in terms of like limiting your use, or do you kind of like just free flow and do what?
No, I'd like to. I get the whole that would be lovely just to sort of run away to the woods and shut off, but I think that's probably the only way I'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
Just to go, right, here's everything, I'm
Yeah.
completely disconnected, and
The real
I'll
cold
literally run away and just go, cold turkey.
Yeah.
I'll put the phone down and I go, right, I'm gonna watch this film, and then I think, I've got a job next week that I haven't checked this, so this back up again, and then an email will go off, and I'm terrible.
That's what J.K. Rowling did when she was trying to write the last few books, I think, for Harry Potter. She booked a hotel in Scotland, I think it was, like, so no one can contact her. So she was literally there for like a week, I think, just to like finish writing the books. I think that's quite a common practice, just to get like deep work done. So yeah, I think
minimise the distractions.
yeah, taking away the option from yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got Industrial Revolution, we've got 10 o'clock yesterday, we've got the Viking times.
Yeah.
I had a little thing about it. As it was my question, I was thinking, what would I say? And I think I went for the dinosaurs, just to actually look at something that I haven't seen ever before. So I think that would be interesting. But anyway, I digress. Move on quickly. Who's up next? Chris, let's come to you.
Yeah. So a bit of like background to the question. I think a lot of times in my like short time being a like young adult or whatever, there's been a lot of times where there's been something that really doesn't feel natural or feel like something I should be doing, and there's a lot of like fear and like self-doubt behind it. But after I've gone in and done it, like I feel amazing afterwards. I'm so glad that I've done it. So like my MMA fight, felt like, why am I getting in the ring? This is like everything in your body's like, I should not be doing this right now. And then like going on holiday on my own, all these kind of things. They felt really wrong in the moment, but afterwards I was like so grateful that I did it. So I'm wondering if there's any like key moments that stick out to you where you really had that self-doubt, like didn't feel like you should be doing it. You went through and did it anyway, and how you'd advise other people in a similar situation to push through that self-doubt.
Good question. So, any moments, gents, that come to mind where you felt that fear and anxiety about doing something, but you did it anyway, and what you learned from that?
Well, professionally for me, I'm going for a bit of it at the moment actually, because we are looking to do more on social media. So I'd quite like to be on camera more.
So today is the day.
So this is this is a baby step. But this is okay because it's structured and there's someone to talk to. But the bit I'm struggling with is sort of standing in front of the camera and saying, right, this is me, this is us, this is what we do. We're really, really good at it. Sort of come and see. I mean, never has there been a time that's been more the norm. I walk past people in the street now that are filming each other and filming themselves and talking. And the kids these days walk down the street on FaceTime, which I am just old enough to know when the first video cameras came in when I was in secondary school, and to walk around talking to someone it's still a bit of a bizarre concept. I still don't think now I'd walk down the street on FaceTime because it just seems a little bit odd to me. So I'm trying to sort of internally psych myself up for that.
How do you go about doing that? What's the internal narrative?
For me, I think the biggest thing is to not find excuses not to do it. So I'm very, very good at procrastinating the things that I don't want to do. So, we've got a couple of great EV charger installs that we want to go and film, and they were installed sort of beginning of the year. The weather was pants. So I've sort of told myself that we didn't film them then because it wouldn't have been very, the weather would have been terrible. We'll wait till the summer and we'll do that. Obviously, it's getting sunnier now, so I need to go out and do these things. For me, and I need to practice what I preach a little more, and certainly when I'm talking with my kids, is I always just kind of get in at the deep end. Once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
If I'm in front of that camera and somebody's seen me, I've done it.
So your strategy is very much throw myself into the deep end. I'm going to push myself. No excuses.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to get too hung up on. The only other time, and I was thinking about this question, the only other time, and it's not sort of professionally speaking, that I've kind of worried about that type of thing, is sort of when I became a parent. But again, you're in. You sort of can't change your mind once you're a parent.
Put it back.
So so it's kind of, I think you've just got to jump in and get it done.
Oh, nice. Okay, sounds like a strong mentality. Mark,
Well,
any examples of overcoming self-doubt?
so yeah, for me, I have to do one thing every year that scares me,
Okay.
and I proper scare myself.
And when do you decide on this?
Usually Friday night at the pub and the off.
Okay, when you're moaning with your mates. Right, this is,
Moaning,
but is
yeah.
this like, so you mentioned this as an annual thing, is this
So
like,
I try to. It's not like a goal setting thing, but I know every year I'm gonna go and do something. So this year, I did kind of my first free climbing. So it was
Okay.
only a small, well, almost a cliff, but yeah. So we went up with 3 mates that I talked into it.
where was this to?
Somewhere in North Wales on the side of a motorway.
Right, okay.
Really strange place to fall off a cliff. But, yeah, but the exhilaration you feel in when you've completed a challenge is fantastic. But the big thing for me prior to that, and even like this podcast thing, I was like a bag of nerves about this. But so on the way up here, I do a lot of breathing techniques and stuff just to put myself in the zone. And I know whether you want to call it meditate or do the breathing or whatever, if I can do 10 minutes of that before anything, I can achieve anything.
Yeah.
So I will probably die next year in an accident now, having said that. But
What's next
I'll
year's
try
going to be,
not.
do you know?
I haven't got a clue yet. I haven't got a clue. Just something random will come up. I think booking on Chris's dad's thing might have been a mistake.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely out of the comfort zone for a lot of people. Like just,
Maybe I should have
Yeah,
read
like-
what it was.
yeah.
Go back to the breathing techniques. Where did you learn those two?
So, like a lot of people, started off with a bit of Wim Hof stuff, and then we were talking about like going on to podcasts and other stuff. Then I realised there are specialists that do all different types of breathing, and there's a type of breathing for whatever you want to achieve to put your mindset in. Yeah, it's even like the word mouth breather now is a bad word in my my vocabulary. It's like yeah, it's just finding out about it and just working out what you need to do.
Nice.
And I think
I think that's a great tactic, by the way. So in terms of your process being, I'm going to pick something every year to push myself, and I'm going to go do that. And actually to overcome the fear and self-doubt, you're using the tactic of breathing exercises.
yeah, and I find it really good.
Nice. That's what we're here for on Team Talks. Words of wisdom. Right.
Remember to
What
breathe.
about yourself?
What, overcoming self-doubt?
Yeah.
Business or life, I would say the thing that comes to mind is 2016, broke up with a long-term girlfriend, had to move back in with my parents, and I was like, that put me at like a low ebb. And I self-doubt about me and somebody. So I sit here today, got a future wife, 2 kids, so it's all worked out nicely. But at that moment, to overcome it, I started studying game, like how to pick up girls in bars and stuff like that, which actually worked well for me. That's actually how I met my future wife, to be fair. So I met her in a bar in Budapest. So I would say, similar to your point, is whenever I feel self-doubt, I double down on doing the work. So whether I've got to study or go learn a new technique of like breathing or something like that, I think that's kind of always my go-to out, which is if I feel like I'm not good at something, which I'm sure we all do all the time, is I'll just spend a load of time thinking, how do I what's my strategy for tackling this situation? And then I'll just bite down on my gum shield and go do it.
Yeah.
So I think about it from a sports analogy a lot.
So to do what you said, it's like you have to consistently put yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that you hold
yeah.
your feet to the fire a little bit? to keep doing
Well,
it?
just because I've never suffered ever with motivation because I'm very competitive
Yeah.
and I just hate losing. So like I can't get away. I would be like, I'm losing right now. Like, and I hate that feeling.
Yeah.
And that's always, I've played sports my whole life. That's always in me. So that's how I kind of then, okay, I just got to regroup, re-strategize, and then go execute. And I'll push myself because I want to win.
So how do you temper that with like kind of, being a bit easier on yourself when like when you are doing the right things, but trying not to like hamstring yourself? How do you temper that with a bit of like self-love or you know.
I think I'm just a human being.
Yeah.
I always remember I'm just a human being, so we're all flawed, aren't we? No one's perfect, and I'm like, you know. So yeah, I just temper it with like I'm a human being, and I'll just keep trying my best. As long as I know I'm trying my best, I'll give myself a little bit of grace. It's a difficult balance, though, isn't it? Giving yourself grace, like you're trying to do best, but also not being too lax on yourself, so that you're not pushing yourself as much.
Yeah. So I definitely struggle with that. I have these periods of like being really dialed in and, you know, focused on my health, these kind of things. But to get to that place, I often have to like crack the whip a little bit to just like keep myself disciplined.
Yeah.
But I think having that perfect balance of, you know, being like, I'm fine either way, but I'm still going to go out and try and do my best. I think, yeah, that's where I really like find the struggle.
Yeah.
So
It's calibrating your energy.
yeah.
Good question. Self-doubt. Right, last question. Matt.
That's me. So I was wondering, what are the qualities or the key qualities that you look for when hiring new staff members or people for your teams?
Mr. Smith, kick us off on this. You've employed a fair amount of people over your career.
My God.
What have you learned about that?
Yeah, so the first rule I learned was do not employ myself. So you naturally gravitate towards people that think like you think. But in order to build a team, you need someone with a bit of creative skill, someone who's nurturing, someone who's, yeah. So if you've just got a room full of mini yous, whilst you're having a great time and got great company, you haven't got all the ingredients to bake the big cake. So I always look for what's missing in the team. We do a lot with like the disc profiling and stuff like that. We're all very open with it. So when we're looking to employ someone, it's actually a team decision. So we'll interview an engineer, because engineers are hard work, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I always have one of the girls from the help desk in the interview, because she's the one that's going to be giving them the jobs. And I'll take her advice on it, because actually I'm asking those two to work together. So I might like this guy because he's an engineer and I'm an engineer and we're all engineers together. But if he's anything like me, he's probably a bit of an idiot. So it's it's just trying to look for the qualities of the position you're trying to fill rather than the person, for me. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, it does make a lot of sense. I think building a team with diverse personalities to make sure the team as a collective performs at the highest level. I think when I thought about that question, my recruitment strategy for like the last year or so has been bound by money. Do you know what I mean? So like we've got a very young, inexperienced team. I think about like a football team, right? So I'm like, I can only afford to go and find young gems that I think have got a lot of. So what I'm looking for then is just great attitude. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they haven't got the skills, but if they've got the right attitude. But I think as I build my team, I'm going to need more skills and more experience. So you know, in the last year or so, it's been very much like let's recruit very much like a young, inexperienced team that are good value because we can't afford them, so we're bound by that. And yeah, I think to Mark's point, you know, personality types and also getting people that are going to push you and also like not being yes men all the time. Do you know what I mean? I think sometimes if you're the boss and people are going to be like, tell you what you want to hear all the time, that's really quite unhealthy. So you want people to challenge you. I'll be looking at those things. Chris, any thoughts? I know you're not necessarily employing anyone at the moment.
Yeah. So
in terms of building the team.
Yeah, funny enough, I watched a video from Patrick Bet-David. Patrick Bet-David, who I think's, you know, I watch quite a lot of his stuff, and his kind of take on building a team, well, similar to what Mark said. It's like you don't want to, if you are a business owner and you know you're really good at like the relationship side of business, like good at building relationships, maintaining like the peace with people. You want to get somebody who's got like opposing strengths. So somebody's like really good at the like operations and like sales and marketing, that kind of thing. And the other thing that really stood out to me was like somebody who really like believes in the vision of the company. So he said like you've got like the doubters who are just like always putting down your vision of the business, being like, I don't know if we can do this. And then you've got like the non-believers who are just like, you know, maybe we can do it, but I'm still not really sure. And then above that, you've got the believers. And they're like, yeah, I think we can do it, but not as, you know, enthusiastic as the owner is. And then you've got the true believers, I think he calls them, who are just like, they're like all in, like same as the business owner. And when somebody believes in the vision as much as the business owner does, they will take actions in a way that's going to support the business. So building a team of those people who are along the ride and want to see it succeed as much as you do, I think they're like intrinsically motivated and these kind of things. So yeah, that's kind of what I took away.
How many people got in your team at the minute?
5, 6.
Okay. Where have you found most of those two?
So there was a couple that were there when I started. The rest I've found sort of personally, either through people I know, friends of friends, and discussions with people. And they're quite a young team. But I can honestly say I've had a team like it. I've really lucked in. Everybody's on board with the vision. Everybody's enthusiastic. Everybody's really driven, and sort of just really up for it. Which is why I was thinking about that. Really, it's not that I've struggled necessarily. It was just interesting because I've always sort of gone after people more for personal characteristics than professional characteristics. So obviously in our trade, and again, much like Marc's, it's quite easy to train somebody to be an electrician. That's what apprenticeships are for, that's what college and training and things are for. But it's about those raw sort of skills that they have to enable that. Whatever their profession is, I think the raw sort of materials, if you like, need to be there regardless of where you go professionally, and that is sort of drive, enthusiasm, wanting to be part of something, and the question was more that I feel quite lucky in that as a team we've got that, we found that.
So we'll definitely cut this soundbite and then we'll send it to them for just pure appreciation for your team.
Yeah. Well, the only
podcast.
good thing is I do tell them quite often, so they're probably bored of hearing it.
Do you reckon you can tell people too much on that? Just as a quick, can you give people too much praise?
So I do ponder on this quite a bit because I've always been a massive believer in that if you're going to tell somebody they've done something wrong or pick holes in somebody or pick people up for doing something wrong, you should also be as quick to tell them when the positive.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice.
So, and we do things wrong. We're a team. We work on projects that are quite big, and that things move as you're going. And there might be an oversight. There's never a witch hunt around any of that sort of stuff. And the only reason that I sort of go after accountability is so that we can stop it happening again in the future.
Yeah,
it's not about who did it. It's about how did we come to do it. So I've got no problem in saying, look, that's wrong. Let's get around it. But you can only do that if you're just as willing to walk up to somebody and go, "That's absolutely brilliant. Well done. That's you've knocked it out of the park." But I do think to myself sometimes, do I just sound like someone's mum? Oh, well done. You've done a great job, sort of thing. And do they as they're walking off, do they go, "Jesus Christ"? I don't. I guess that
it's a fine balance, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it comes down to the individual as well.
Yeah.
So I won't stop doing it because I just believe that you should be saying well done to people. But some people will go. Some people might find it patronising almost, and some people, that might be their whole goal of the day is to get their boss to go, "Good job." Yeah. So it's
the one analogy that I heard someone speak about that I think is a good one, which is say you're out with the girls are out with their girlfriends, and one of the girls walks down the stairs and says, "Oh, does this dress look good on me?" And the girl's like, "No, it doesn't." And then she goes back and changes. But she respects their opinion because when it does look good, she tells them. They all say, "You look great tonight."
Yeah.
And then when they don't, when she doesn't, say for example, they say that. So I think there's a level of you appreciate people and say well done when they do good things, and you're quick to say actually, and then your team respect that you're just being honest most of the time. But if you can curate that.
Yeah, and I think it also depends how it's worded. So if I go and look at something and one of the lads says, "Oh, what do you think of this?" If I'm looking at it thinking that's terrible, I'm never going to go, "That's terrible." I'll really quickly try and find a way of going, "No, do you know what? We probably could have done this," or "I think it could have looked better if we'd gone this way." So you can put a positive spin on something that started out as a negative situation, without ruining somebody's day. Doesn't achieve anything then.
Do you think different people respond to different approaches? Like, would somebody learn better from getting like a kick out of the butt or something like that?
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the dynamics in managing people. Comes on there. Is that after a while you get to, I think when you first get a team, it's almost blanket coverage. You just have to fumble your way through it almost, and then you work people's sort of intricacies out as you go. And then, I can be quite brash and bantery with one person. That could ruin another person's day. Oh, no, the boss thinks I've messed up or whatever. So you kind of have to...
Goes back to like Marc's personality. Knowing everyone's personalities, because it's like, okay, do you need carrot or stick, or do you need a cuddle? It's football players, right? To get the best out of some of them, they just need a cuddle and loads of love. And others need to be like, mate, you are playing terribly. Yeah. Pull your socks up and get out there and start dominating. And like, it's...
there isn't a one size fits all.
Yeah, there isn't, yeah. I think that's, we'd all strive to be better leaders or managers, is to understand people better. Just trying to pull the strings to get the best performance out of them. Yeah. Right, gents, I really appreciate everyone being here. Thanks for your time. I'm going to finish with a quick fire round. I've got 3 questions, okay? So my first question is, I want to keep it business related. First question to you all is your favourite brand and why? Okay? Favourite brand. Right, Chris, I'm going to start with you. I know I'm putting everyone on the spot. I'm going around that way. Don't worry, you won't get the next one first.
Favourite brand.
No, I'm not saving him, right?
Okay,
Let's push him. Favourite brand. What comes to mind?
I mean, I think Nike definitely comes to mind just because of like how well they've integrated it with the like athletes and how as soon as you think of Nike, you think of like the basketball players, so I think they've done a really good job of that.
Let's just stick with that. Let's take it.
Yeah,
Nike. Yeah. Right, that's what you got. Right, Marc?
Same question?
Yep, same question. Favourite brand?
I love Ronsil. That's what it says on the tin. I live my life by it. So, yeah.
Okay. Forever painting.
Perfect.
For me, at the moment, sticking on point with the EV thing is there's a brand. In fact, they do Seilo and other stuff as well. But it's a company called My Energy. And just in our space, they're ticking all the boxes at the moment. Their product's great, their leadership's great. Looking on social media, their customer service is great. So yeah, as a brand, and one of their directors is a female actually.
Okay.
Which is nice in our space because you don't come across it. In engineering you don't come across female leaders very often. So that's quite nice and inspiring for other females in the industry. So yeah, My Energy.
My Energy, good answers. Right, next question. Favourite business podcast or YouTube channel? And what recommendations? Who should people be checking out?
I'll go.
Go on then.
Yeah, it's got to be Alex Hormozy for sure. Josh will tell you, I speak about him probably way too much. But he, his way of conveying ideas that are very complex in a very simple way. He puts in a lot of effort, way more than you would expect, just to make sure that what he's saying is received as can be digested as simply as possible. And I think he's also quite philosophical as well in his approach. So you can watch him and take applicable things for your business, and also mindset around working hard and having a purposeful life as well. So he literally ticks all the boxes. And obviously I've taken some of his advice into our own marketing, and it's actually produced results. So I can't can't fault him enough.
Right, so big shout out Alex Hormozy, go check him out. That's Chris's recommendation.
Sure. I am banging to Mo Garrett.
Okay.
He's the Egyptian guy, used to be Google X-Man.
Yeah.
He set himself up to create the million happy people or something through change of lifestyle. It's really wholesome podcast. He brings different guests in each week to discuss different things. It's just about looking after yourself, I think. So yeah, that's my number one go-to.
Nice one.
For me, very mainstream, but Simon Sinek. He just puts into words a lot of what I've had in my head for a long time, and into simple explanations. So it's kind of nice when somebody like that pops more into the mainstream. and brings all these people together that they believe in all of these things.
Yeah.
But haven't sort of found a platform or community yet. And I just remember watching some of his sort of videos online and thinking this is great, and then I've watched more and more and more and more, and to the point that sort of now I'm waiting for new stuff to come out. And yeah, so Simon Sinek.
Okay. Very nice.
Well,
Cheers,
you,
Jez.
Josh.
Oh,
on the
good
spot
question.
there.
Yeah, thanks. Oh shit. Probably at the moment I'm watching a lot of Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David. I think they're doing a great job with that company and brand. So yeah, if I'll get one, I'll say Patrick Bet-David today and Valuetainment. Right, last question. I want you to think about, this is the last one. Right, someone you just want to give props to, like a local business person that from afar you're admiring or respect. We're on Team Talk, so I think it's just nice to give people a little bit of encouragement out there. So who have you had a conversation with recently, or who have you watched in business? And you're like, they're up to a really good thing. I really respect their time and when I'm around them. So
we did a scheme with Portsmouth University a few years back, and they give you a load of business students, and they're supposed to execute something. And 90% of them do nothing, but there's always that little gem in there. And this one guy has got the coolest name in the world, Samuel James Brown as well.
okay.
He really shone out for us on our project. I thought he was brilliant. And he's now got a food manufacturing company up in, I think, Northamptonshire, where they make everything from vegan ice cream to creams and yogurts and stuff. And I've followed him like a proper stalker on LinkedIn from when we met through the university. I just love what he's doing, and he's so upbeat and so positive. I got him to come down to Portsmouth Uni to give a talk to the students about trying to get them to understand, look, here's someone that's gone through the programme and is actually doing it. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect for him.
Nice. Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate that. Chris?
I'm going to give a shout out to B4B, who's still in the podcast right now. They're great people. Very friendly.
Looking for a soft
great-
filter.
Yeah, like really good editing preferences, hopefully. Like good quality film, like good people skills, these kind of things. So, yeah.
Big shout out, B from
B4B.
in the house. Right, last one of these, Matt.
For me, it's probably one of our wholesalers that we use, Impulse Electrical Supplies in Havant, and Dan Bath and his team down there, because they just get it right for us every time. They'll bend over backwards, they'll drop stuff sort of willy-nilly. It's a nice atmosphere in there, a nice friendly bunch of guys. All about customer service. That helps us loads, because that means we can pass that on to our customers then. So Impulse Electrical Supplies.
Nice. Chris, Mark, Matt, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for everyone who watched the Team Talks. Until next time, keep smashing it. This is Peter, out.